everybody, what's good? Down it's your girl Jeremy. You know, I always got something to say. And oh my gosh, y'all, we have a legend in the building. If you don't know, then that means you are too young to chill with me. We talking about this is why I'm hot. This is why I'm hot. This is why. This is why. This is why. MIMS, who used to be Mr. MIMS, in the building on the Talk to Me podcast with your girl Jay Renee. Y'all give it up for MIMS.
What's happening?
Oh my goodness.
I love the intro. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Hey, if you want to use it, you can. All right. Let me just go
okay.
Say right there.
I may have to for sure.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Like, we're just gonna jump into it. MIMS, where have you been? Like the journey from being a rapper to now you're a tech mogul and you're an entrepreneur and you have independent businesses and you are just flourishing.
Yeah.
Like, tell us about this journey.
So for those who don't know me, obviously I go by the name of MIMS. That's my stage name for many years. I was recording a multi-platinum recording artist, so I am a multi-platinum recording artist. Started off early my music career, producing music, DJing, learning how to write music, and then eventually I decided to become an artist. And I think my record, This Is Why I'm Hot, broke around 2006. But you know, there was probably about a 5-year starving artist period between, you know, coming out of high school, trying to figure out what it is I wanted to do with life, and then eventually like segueing into being a professional musician. And then I had obviously some great success at releasing a few records, you know, major deal, the whole gambit. And then I got kind of tired of the music industry, so I decided to pivot away from it and get into technology. And you know, I'm older now, so yeah, I'm here. I mean, life has been a really great journey for me.
And a journey it has been, because like I said before, I'm just reiterating, you are doing the damn thing. You doing it for real. Because
thank you.
It's rare that we have entertainers that can pivot from that and do it well. Like the only other person I can think of at the moment is Chamillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you all have been taking over the tech industry left and right and still be able to reach back and help the artists who need it.
Yeah. I think the dope thing is that our positions are a little different, man. Shout to Chamillionaire, because I hear the comparisons a lot, and he's made some really great decisions for himself in the tech space. He's got involved with some companies early on in the game, and I think, you know, different outcomes but similar understandings of when you know, you don't want to be a one-trick pony, or you don't want to just be looked at a certain way. I got into technology because I wanted to actually build technology that helped people in the music industry. So my goal was, you know, if I could think about the pitfalls that I've had and all the pain points that existed in my career coming up, if I can create apps or anything, just connections with companies to help streamline the creative process, then that's what I'm like into. And then eventually I started getting into the understanding of investments, and then the understanding of, you know, building startups and working with startups, and it's gotten me to a point where I realized that the music business has its own complexities, and so does the tech space. So like I'm heading with tech because I really feel like I want to be one of the faces that represent the African American community in the space. And you know, there's a few people that are in it, but not as much as we need in this industry to feel like we have a seat at the table.
So when you go into your complexities within the music industry, how did you come to realize that, hey, hold on, the math is not mathing, as the kids say now? When did you come to that occurrence in your mind? You just like, hey, somebody not telling me the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
It's pretty simple, and it's crazy because I think a lot of people have this theory that when artists get robbed, it's usually something they did that they didn't read, or a contract that didn't review. And I'm like, that's just preposterous, right? Like, I had so many examples before me of people who did business correct, or did business a certain way enough to guide me into trying to do it the best way that I could. And the outcome for me was that when I released one of my biggest records and projects, and it grossed a certain amount of money, I was still able to be not reported to correctly financially. And what I realized is that, we're fighting a system that's been here longer than us, right? And at one point in music, especially as it relates to minorities or African Americans or Black, brown, whatever, people of color, there was we mutually benefited from the system, right? Like, we didn't have the distribution outlets, we didn't have the planes to take CDs and cassette tapes and records across seas and around the country. So partnering up with certain companies was a necessity. And when the digital era came, which is literally like right in the middle of my biggest release, it did something. It shifted the paradigm, as they say. So like, I always like to explain to people, the reason why, and this is like a loaded question, so I'm trying to like condense it so that your listeners would understand and get it. But when, I released the record 2006, 2007, it was the #1 record in the country. 2008, it was time for me to get paid for the record sales side. I got paid for a lot of other things prior to me getting my first check for actually selling records. And the disparity between what I grossed and what I was paid out was so crazy that I decided that it wasn't worth my energy. Like, I didn't want to put energy into working. Imagine a person having to get up and go to work for a year only to find out that when that check comes in, they tell you, hey man, your check's going to be short.
Oh hell no. Nah.
Yeah, most people wouldn't. I decided to walk away. Most people wouldn't. Most people would probably, take other means and do other things. And what I always want people to understand out there is that is you could do everything right, you could be positioned correctly, but whoever collects the money they hold the gold. So they make the rules. And what I realize is that there's so many ways that a record label can outsmart the artist, that the #1 thing that's missing in the industry is transparency. And until somebody solves that transparency issue, it don't matter who you are. If you're an artist, you have the potential of being robbed out of your money, I would like to say. So, so I got my first check 2008 from the label. When I say first check, people got to realize when I mean from the label, I was making a lot of money on other things, but from the label, and I decided that it wasn't, I didn't start off being a musician because I wanted to be this big business mogul musician making money. Music was actually my refuge. So it was that thing that I did to get away from the noise. It was that thing that I dived into to be creative so that I didn't have to deal with all the things that were going on in my personal life. And when someone takes your personal situation, that's something that you love personally, and they destroy it, there's no way that a person would say that that's worth going back in and giving them the same thing that they just took from me. So I made a conscious decision to walk away. I walked away from that. I walked away from a lot of money. I walked away from a bunch of things, but my decision. And then eventually, like I said, I got involved with tech, which, where I'm at now in that space, I'm happy, because had I not learned the things I knew, had I not learned the things that I didn't know in the music industry, it wouldn't make me so bullish on trying to change things in the tech space for musicians.
Do you still maintain that music side of yourself? Like, do you still have your own independent label?
I've always had a label. I'm not actively pursuing like signing artists. That's not my goal. I like to say to myself, I'm more on the consulting side. I do a lot of free consulting, right? Which feeds my soul. So I'm not complaining about it. but I'm more on the consulting side, which means that I can kind of navigate between understanding how an artist thinks to understanding how a company thinks. And I place myself kind of like right in the middle, whereas I want
Right.
artists to benefit, but I also want companies to understand how to craft these deals with the artists to make sure that the artists get what they
Maximize their
deserve.
profits, right?
Exactly. I like to use the example. Allen Iverson did a deal with Reebok during his time in the NBA, and this was such a beautiful deal. I don't know I don't understand the full. I don't have a full understanding of exactly how the deal was drafted, so I could be way off. But from what I heard, a lot of the proceeds that he got from the deal, he didn't get until he turned 50 years old, and that was a way of whoever designed it, whether it was his agents, whether his management. I think Steve Style has something to do with that. But the way that was designed, I felt like that was dope because what it says is, at some point in someone's life, if you don't come from money, it's really hard to understand how to manage it. So you need to create these deals that help artists go through what they go through, their trials, their tribulations, and then when they come out of it, when they have that better understanding of how to manage money, boom, now here's a bag. Take this and do something great with it. So I believe like that's my path now. Like I'm on a path of helping artists understand the business and helping the businesses understand the artist.
I honestly think that it should be within their contracts. You not just going to be a rapper, entertainer, but you must have these other skills to associate with that, so that way you can maximize your full talent and your full potential to do other things, whether it be tech, whether it be entrepreneurship, to the extent of from even owning like hotels or restaurants. How to include, how to monetize what you have in your brand to make it global and to make it stick.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, I think the problem with the music industry is that it's such a predatory space. And you're talking about on average the age of an artist that's like popping, as we say, or like blowing up is normally anywhere between like 16 to 24. And you're talking about not only, younger younger, I don't call them kids, but younger adults, let's say. But you're also talking about people who come from impoverished backgrounds, who don't come from money, who don't understand finance. And I think what happens is, not every label, because I don't want to put that, because labels have done some amazing things for artists, but some of them prey on the fact that these guys know nothing. So when they offer them these deals, they're only in it as long as that artist is beneficial to them. And then when they're not, is move on to the next, because that's how we make our money. And I think that's sad. I think it's had it not been for my ability to be eager to jump into other industries, I could have easily seen myself get caught up in start coming from a place and going right back to that same place, and showing, popping back up in the hood saying, hey, I'm back. It was great while it lasted, but I'm back. And I think, that's the sad reality. And there's got to be a point in time where a human, whether you work at a label or you own a label, has to say, I would rather do good business and do right by people, because I'm going to get rewarded better off down the line. But I think when money gets involved, something about it always changes the aspects of things.
It's like it goes to that verse, like money. Well, it says the love of money is the root of all evil. A lot of people forget the love of money. They just think money is the root of all evil. It's like, no, the love of money, which is greed. And so and it's crazy how much it could change people, because you could just there's some people I know, I'm just like, okay, all right, this
it's
you.
wild.
Okay, this you.
The real them comes out. You want to know what I tell people all the time? I say, money is not a goal. Money is a tool, right? So we use money as a tool, but it doesn't mean that you need the money to get to your goal. If you have a goal and your goal is a certain thing, Some people need money for that goal, and others don't. And others don't really care for the value of what money brings. Money is supposed to bring comfort, but the comfort is the goal. Money is the tool. So if you feel like you can find comfort without money, you've already done the job. And so I wish people would understand that a little bit more. I've had a lot of money in my life, but what I tried not to do is let it change me as a person and keep me grounded, because money was never my goal. It was only just a tool to get me to my goal. How I live now, I just celebrated the birth of my first child in 2020.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And what I realized when I'm like with my son, I'm like, yo, this opportunity to watch another human grow and become their own is more valuable to me than anything that anyone would have ever brought me in life, anything tangible for that matter. So when you start to recognize these things, you start to say, there's nothing yeah, money will keep a roof over his head, but if I lived in a shack with him and he was happy, I'm good. I'm still good.
I want to get into the specifications of you being in tech. So you said two different outcomes with you and Chameleonaire, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, of course, we're focusing on you, but
Yeah.
I want you to tell me about specifically what it is in tech that you do.
Yeah. Yeah, so I started off as me wanting to create software. That was my biggest thing. I had all these cool ideas, and I'm like, let me create software, in specific software that was music driven. So I think we bootstrapped about 2 or 3 different ideas, and what bootstrap means is you take money out your own pocket, and you basically pour it in and you dump it in. And when I first started, I didn't even understand the capacity of how much money you could actually spend in the tech space. So I think we were probably about $250,000 in, and we didn't even have like a working product. So obviously at that point we had to kind of learn the game a little bit backwards, which was, how do you raise funds in the tech space? So we decided to kind of take that route, and we were fortunate enough to raise money for a few of the projects that we were doing. And then once I started understanding that process, which is cool. It's almost like being an artist and having a song and trying to get signed to a record label. It's the same concept of that. Then I just said, well, damn, how do you become disruptive? Where's the disruption going to be? Because that's the big word, right? How do you change something? And I started learning about blockchain technology. And I know a lot of people have been throwing around blockchain, cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, Ethereum. But when I started understanding the idea of what this was, a light bulb just went off. And I'm like, wait a minute, you have a technology that allows for, in a sense, computers to be a system of checks and balances. So you're basically telling me this technology can remove the middleman and provide more transparency. So if you think about what Bitcoin did for the financial system, Bitcoin was a currency that was created because people wanted to find a way around the traditional banking systems. And some of the problems within the traditional banking systems were, and I'll explain them. One of the biggest ones was, if you have a bank account and you want to send money to someone in another country, if you're relying on a bank to do it, you have to contact your bank, let them know how much money you want to send, where that person is. They then have to take that money, transfer it to that country's currency, communicate with that bank, take their portion out of it, and then the person will receive their money. And by the time that transaction happened, the money has already been in like 3 different hands, and 3 different people are benefiting, making money off of that. So when they created Bitcoin, they were like, look, we just want to create a digital asset or digital currency or asset that allows people to go from, peer to peer, P2P, and without all of the intermediary things, and using the computers to check the system. And then here's the caveat. when they created Bitcoin, they also created transparency, because now you could see exactly where the money came from and where it's going to. That's not always good. And in most cases, some people don't want people know how much they got, but it created transparency. So that light bulb went off in my head, and I'm like, well, damn, where else could we use this type of technology? And immediately I thought of the music industry because of what I've been through in my career. So my pivot at that time was going from building software to actually understanding how software works. And then now what I do is I work with companies who use that software and to help them guide and build and try to build utilities for other artists. So I work with a lot of different companies now who are trying to get into the music space, to actually provide artists with tools that could benefit them, so that they won't have to go through what I went through as a musician. And I feel like that's completely ironic.
That's
because
genius. That is genius.
Yeah, I love it. And you know, within doing that, obviously I've learned how to invest in certain ideas and companies. And then also, you know, other things that I like to do. I mean, I grew up playing gaming, and I'm not much of a gamer now, but I dibble and dabble here and there, and I'll play games. But I realized that the gaming community in society is a big, huge. It's huge. So I want to be a part of that disruption as well. So now I'm starting to pivot into understanding how to disrupt the gaming market and working with companies to do that.
You know, it's crazy. My cousin is actually a professional gamer, and I have seen his whole setup, and I'm just like, it's a lot. Of course, I mean, I have monitors in my house, but I'm like, damn.
Yeah. How does he play? Does he make money from playing games, or is he?
Yes, so
Okay.
he does, and he also has a YouTube channel. And
Nice.
unfortunately, someone hacked one, but it's like it's
Uh-oh.
still up. So I was like, I mean, do you still make money, or do they make money? How does that work? But he started
Uh-oh.
another
Okay.
channel, and so he makes money off of that.
Good. Good. I think that's dope. I think what happens with someone like himself, he starts to understand the complexities of gaming, so he can create these ideas eventually that help other gamers. And that's just the way I think. Like when you have a mind that's always thinking disruption, you know, the possibilities are endless.
I My dream, well, one of my dreams is to like be a voice in a game system, or even like have gamer tags, but it's like a DJ tag. You
Yeah.
hit one button and it's just like the reborn legend, and be like like stuff like
I
that.
listen, I like that. That sounds like a business within itself. Do the voiceovers for all these gamers. If you a gamer out there and you watching, yeah, you know, yeah, it's time to
Hey,
make that happen.
yeah, hit up your girl Renee. I'm definitely down as long as it's
Eh,
not during like allergy season. Like catch me when I wake up. That's when I sound cuter.
there you go.
Look, I just want to thank, well, first off, before we end,
Mhm.
I want you to tell everyone where they can reach you, where they can find you on all social media, even if you
Mhm.
have a LinkedIn. Okay, how can they
Yeah,
contact you, and even your email, if
yeah.
possible.
Yeah, I think the easiest way, so I'll say this, you know, people always ask me, it's like, I know you asked the question, where did I go to? I feel like in life, the best thing for a person to do is to be able to disappear, right? And this just sounds weird because when you've lived some of your life in the public eye, people will say, "Oh, well, you know, I want to be famous or whatever." You know, everybody has an aspiration for something. For me, I never wanted to be famous. I just, you know, I wanted to be disruptive, and I think also like where I'm at in my life now. I tend to want just a little bit more peace of mind. So if you're watching out there, I'm not the hardest to get a hold of. Obviously, you know you did it, but I'm also not a social media person. So, but if you want to find me, at MIMS Life, MIMSLIFE is usually most of all my social handles across the board. So that's like Twitter. I mean, Twitter, Instagram, definitely. I think I'm on Facebook. I'm pretty sure. Um, LinkedIn, if it was more of a professional interest, you could look me up on LinkedIn as well. I do a lot of my technology business through LinkedIn. Yeah, so I'm reachable. I'm obtainable. But Instagram is probably where most people will hit me and you know DM me and stuff.
We definitely need to work together. I'm gonna just put that out there. We
I
definitely
love
can
what
work
you're doing.
together. Thank
Let's
you.
figure it out for sure.
Thank you so much. And I want to thank you once again for giving me the opportunity to interview you. Like for
Thank you.
real.
No, I appreciate it, and I always say I'm appreciative of every platform that people can give me. So thank you for obviously having me on your show.
All right, everybody. That was the Talk With Me podcast with the one and only New York City rapper legend in my book. I don't care. He a legend. The one, the only MIMS.
Appreciate you.
And y'all come back every week, every Thursday. It'll be a new interview exclusively on YouTube.